ZapdosTCG here, and welcome back to another TCG video on my channel. On this channel you get daily Pokemon TCG uploads, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out if you are new to the channel. Also click that little notification bell, you're gonna get notified when new videos go live. Today we're gonna be checking out a tier list, an updated tier list for the Dortmund regionals happening this weekend. I'll be going to that regionals over in Europe and it's going to be fantastic. I already have my Worlds invite, but I'm gonna be trying to chase that top 22 for Europe, so that's gonna be interesting. First of all, also head over to my sponsors which make this video possible. If you're looking for Dragon Shield product, sleeves, binders, deck box, you can get 5% off on everything on the website using the coupon ZapdosTCG5. There's also yourplaymat.com to get 10% off by clicking the link down below. Potown Store gets you covered if you want to have some TCG live code cards. Also 5% off there, and then CARDMARKET if you want to support the channel even further. With that being said, let's head over to the tier list. There's a lot of decks I want to be talking about today, and you're going to be learning a little bit about the format currently. This Paradox Rift format, aka Paldean Fates format, has been dragging on ever since November. It's been one of the longest formats we've been in, and it will only change with EUIC, so this is going to be one of the last tier lists I'll be making in this format. Let's see what's going on in this particular format. So I'm going to be starting off here with saying that the best deck in the format, I don't even think there is a best deck in the format currently because it flip-flops here and there, and I don't even know what the best deck in the format is. People say it's Zone Giratina. Let's just have that as a little bit of a pinpoint. I think Zone Giratina is a solid tier 1 deck. It has no bad matchups. It actually is able to beat almost anything. It has the late game potential with Roxanne, Empath, even Sableye and Countercatcher to be kind of annoying. Have some alternate win conditions right there when you trap opponents and Sable sprinkle them. So people think it's a tier S deck, but I personally believe there is no tier S deck in this format. So we're going to be leaving it at tier 1. Also, we're going to be talking about, I would say Block Snorlax is a solid tier 2 deck. It is a deck that if people are not respecting Snorlax Block, they will be sorry because Snorlax Block can just run away with games. So if you're scared of a Snorlax, there's always some of them sneaking into top 16, sneaking into top 8s. You have to tack in Turo in the Gardevoir decks, for example. Turo, a Palpat can also work miracles. In other matchups, you could be tacking in some additional switch outs just to make sure you have an answer against Snorlax Block. Also, a very cool tech card against Snorlax Block is actually Spiritomb, which shuts down the Rotom with the Insta Charge. So, in theory, Spiritomb, I expect a lot of Spiritomb over in Dortmund. Not only is it going to be helpful against Mew, which always seems to be dominating at the European events, but also because you're having Spiritomb, you're going to be able to shut down Galarian Moltres in the Roaring Moon deck. You're going to be able to shut down Rotom, you're going to be able to shut down Lumineon, etc. There's going to be a lot of things you can shut down with the help of Spiritomb, not only Mew VMAX, but other Pokemon in general. So, Snorlax Block tier 2, another tier 1 deck is Charizard. I still think Charizard is a very strong deck. It's also the most popular deck throughout this season and has been showcasing that in the Paradox Rift format. It is definitely a great contender. You have Pidgeot EX that can help search any card from the deck with quick search. And most of these Charizard lists are actually still running Radiant Zard to help out against the 2/2 prize mapping and stuff like, for example, Roaring Moon. So there is that. Also going to talk about Gardevoir. Gardevoir is still a strong deck, but I don't know. I'm always like doubtful to just put Gardevoir as a tier 1 deck, but it always like has ways to win tournaments. There's like way too many tier 1 decks, I know, but for now let's put Gardevoir in tier 1 because I personally believe Gardevoir, when played by the correct player that knows how the deck plays, knows not to tie, but to just sneak out the wins, playing, most of the time you'll just be playing best of 1 with Gardevoir because it just takes that long, but if you're knowing what to do with Countercatcher, Iono, Scream Tail, Reversal Energy, you're definitely going to be doing miracles here. I'll be putting Arceus Regigigas VSTAR has been seeing quite a bit of success here and there, but I don't believe it is right in this format. Also with a high amount of Roaring Moon roaring around the tournaments, definitely with a 20% meta share over at the day 2 over in Knoxville, I believe that Arceus is not a great play. With that being said, I'll be putting, there's so many great decks in the format. I also put Goldango Palkia in that tier 3 category, but higher than Arceus, I suppose. But Goldango, you might think, oh, I have a favorable time against stuff like Charizard and stuff. But the problem with the Goldango deck is that you don't have that much disruption by your side. You do have occasionally the one of Roxanne, but that's where it stops. Also, you need a lot of setup to go for the one shots, and most of the decks are still playing Manaphy. All the decks above, like in tier 1, are now actually playing Manaphy. There's like Zone Giratina, 50% of the lists are playing Manaphy. Charizard, Pidgeot plays Manaphy. Gardevoir plays Manaphy. So your Palkia, cross-switch shenanigans, you will need to find Cologne, and sometimes you don't find it at the right time. Then they're all evolved. You have some trouble. You only have 260 HP. Radiant Zard is around to deal with Goldangos. You also don't have a great answer against Snorlax Block. If they have a Mimikyu, you're going to be scratching your head what to do. So I'll be putting it in tier 3. I made up my mind here, so that is that. Another tier 3 deck is Iron Valiant Ante. Probably still better than Goldango Palkia, I would say. But on the other hand, there is a lot of Roaring Moon roaring around. That's why I'm only putting it at tier 3 for now. But these decks, I didn't make tier 4. I didn't add in like Mimi decks out there that cannot win tournaments. So that's where we're at currently. For tier 2, I would say all the Mew VMAXs. In my opinion, the reason why I'm putting Mew at tier 2 is that most of the popular decks out there are Darkness decks. And I didn't even talk about Roaring Moon being super popular. So Charizard, Darkness deck, Roaring Moon, Darkness deck. When you actually have a great opening hand, you should have a reasonable time against Mew VMAX. Definitely considering the fact that Roaring Moon, most of the lists are Ross Columns lists, which actually help out a ton with the research, with the Iono, etc. You're having more outs than a typical Turbo Roaring Moon list. So against Mew VMAX, you definitely have an answer. I put tier 2 at Mew VMAX just because everyone is hyping up Spiritomb. There's people hyping up Spiritomb and Giratina. There's people out there hyping up Spiritomb and other decks just to tech against not only the Rotom, but also against Mew VMAX and Galarian Moltres in the Roaring Moon deck. With that being said, we also have Lugia as a tier 3 deck. I think I'll put it over here. Lugia did get a top 8 over at the Melbourne Regionals, but the reason why it actually got a top 8 is that it hit a lot of loss on Giratina, which is inherently a very strong matchup, so I'll put it over here. Another tier 1 deck for me personally is going to be Roaring Moon here. Like, these are like the best 4 decks, I would say, in the format currently. Maybe like Turbo Lost Box decks can also join the party in the form of something like with Kyogre as well. But for now, I think these are like the 4 horsemen of the tier 1 slots here. Lostina, Charizard, Roaring Moon, and Gardevoir. And these are also going to be the most popular decks out there. So if you want to win a tournament, you have to win against all of the above. So if you're able to do that, you found yourself the so-called tier S deck. But for now, I don't put anything in tier S because at one point Tino was winning tournaments, then Charizard was winning tournaments, then Gardevoir was winning tournaments, and now Roaring Moon is slowly but steadily becoming more popular and has a shot at winning tournaments. So there is that. With that being said, Klawf Electrode, tier 3 for sure. I know you can win against Miraidon, and you know you can win against Roaring Moon. In theory, you could win against Charizard, but if smart Charizard players are starting attacking with Pidgeot, you're gonna have less of a good time. So in that sense, I'll be putting it in tier 3. You win against Roaring Moon, that is true, but sometimes you still lose against Roaring Moon just because of the pure aggression, and you have to rely on Squack ability. You don't find your collapse, it gets a 2-2-2 prize race, and there is that. Klawf can actually handle Miraidon, but Miraidon is actually dropping off a little bit in play here and there. Okay, with that being said, Baxcalibur Chien-Pao. I have tested this deck kind of a little bit, so I'll be putting it in the low end of tier 2. People are saying this is a tier 3, tier F deck, but I have tested Chien-Pao. I have a soft spot for it because like Jared Grimes did it again, top 16 with the Chien-Pao, so there is possibilities that the Chien-Pao can deliver, so there is that. And I'm also not putting Chien-Pao with Iron Hands in that same list because I just grouped them together, so there's no need for us to just put an additional slot. It's a little bit more of an overview here when I'm putting Chien-Pao in tier 2. It might be the time for Chien-Pao, to be honest, because you have a nice time against Gardevoir, you have a nice time against Charizard, Giratina is 50-50, and Roaring Moon, if you use your Greninjas wisely, you can also get away with a dub there. So there are, wide open maybe for Chien-Pao. Urshi Intel, I'll be putting in tier 3. Is it higher than Anti-Iron Valiant? I'm still doubting. I'll put in higher currently. This actually is a deck that, when played by the correct players, you can get very deep into a tournament. The thing I see here right now, we're in Europe, there's still a whole lot of Mew, there is a whole lot of Roaring Moon, and those are all bad matchups. And the Lostina matchup is 50-50 at best. If the Giratina player knows what to do, does some Lost Abyss Seekings here and there, doesn't get out too many confies, can actually be surprised at what the Lostina can do against something like, for instance, the Inteleon Urshifu. Okay, then Sablezard, actually all the Lost boxes in general, I'll put them all in tier 2, like the Turbo Lost box and the high end of tier 2. Sablezard, a little bit less popular, but I'll put it over here as well. These are like Lost box decks, right? Lost box piles as Tort popularized with Roaring Moon in them, with Iron Hands in them, sometimes even with Tropius in there. I expect people like grabbing more towards the Tropius with Roaring Moon becoming more popular. Tropius not only helps against Roaring Moon, but also against Charizard, and if I predict correctly, I think Roaring Moon will be 15% meta share, Charizard will be 15% meta share, that's 30%, that's almost 1 in 3 decks you're gonna have use of the Tropius, so there's that. And yeah, it's a Lost Box deck. It's also very great to use Iron Hands in a lot of these matchups, so there's that. And then Miraidon, I'll put it in tier 2 as well, adding it up here probably above Snorlax Block. Yeah, I think like Roaring Moon has taken over quite a little bit as the most aggressive deck in the format, and I think I am very positive with this spread. I am not categorizing any deck currently in tier S. The 4 Horsemen of the tier 1 category, Lost Tina as the most popular deck. Actually, now that I think about it, as the strongest deck. Strongest deck, but not a lot of people love to play like the comfy flower selecting engine, so I can understand why it's less popular. But Charizard Aura with Pidgeot, Roaring Moon, and Gardy, these are like the tier 1 decks in my book. Then we have Lost Boxes, Mews, Miraidons, Chien-Paos, and Snorlax in tier 2. Solid decks altogether. Then in tier 3, a little bit less popular decks out there. Also a little bit having some consistency issues. We have Urshi Entel, Antair and Valiant, Goldango, Lugia, Arceus boxes, and then Klawf Electrode. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my Dortmund regionals tier list. I tried my best. I played all of these decks on the channel before. If you want to be having notified of how these decks play, there are videos, plenty of videos on my channel to see how they work, and with some successful deck lists as well. If you enjoyed it, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button, and also let me know which deck you would be personally putting in tier S, and which decks you would be putting lower or higher on the tier list. I want to know your opinion down below. Also, go check out the sponsors as mentioned. Dragon Shield to get 5% off on everything on the website. Sleeves, binders, deck boxes, you name it. Link down below, and use coupon ZapdosTCG. There's ZapdosTCG 10YP over at yourplaymat.com to create your own custom playmat. They ship worldwide, so definitely check it out to create your own unique custom playmat. There is TCG Live code cards available over at PoketownStore.com. Use the coupon ZapdosTCG for 5% off. And if you're a European player, go check out CardMarket.com. You can buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. You can use the referral name ZapdosTCG to help support the channel. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. I'll see you guys this weekend over at Dortmund Regionals. I still have no idea what to play, so I'm very kind of nervous a little bit, but we'll see how we will be able to do. I was so close to top 8 over at Liverpool. Let's try and repeat the process here. So thank you for watching. See you guys then. Peace.